Hello, we are the Stop Wearing My Clothes podcast. I'm Amy.
I'm Kayla. One podcast, two sisters. This is episode number 63, and we are covering all things Love is Blind, the finale, the live reunion, as well as all of the hot tea that's been happening with all these couples since, and let's get into it. Welcome to the special Love is Blind extravaganza episode. That's what I'm going to call it. And we are going to do our happy and annoyed, and it can only be Love is Blind themed. Any other annoyances you have in your life, throw them in the garbage.
Okay, well, I think my annoyed is the pretty obvious one that most of the people in the world were feeling the night of the reunion.
I know I don't know if we have not checked if our annoyed is the same, but it's leaning that way. Okay, let's wait. Here, I'm waiting, hearing it.
That Netflix freaking dropped the ball on the live reunion.
Yes, that's true. That's a very obvious one. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, we got all ready. Kayla was in town, 5 o'clock. We're like, let's do this. Luckily, I didn't make my snacks because I forgot. And we realized I didn't make the snacks after it played.
I think maybe you knew before all of us.
Yeah, maybe I did.
Those corn ribs would have been wasted.
Yes, they would. And I did eat corn ribs from Trader Joe's. A+.
It'll change your life.
Anyway, so we literally sat there for like over an hour of just waiting. The only thing that kept us going was the comments on the Love is Blind live on Instagram. They were hilarious.
MTV, Cheesecake Factory, almost the entire cast of Jersey Shore. Like,
Shayne.
It was popping off. Oh, speaking of Shayne, I actually just screenshotted this. Shayne was leaving like hate comments on the Love is Blind Netflix Instagram. At least I showed up on time for my dates, wrong name or not. And he was like, love is disrespectfully late if you ask me. Rude. He's a live wire. He's very just all over the place. And then he posted, let's just make this all the stuff I have to say about Shayne really quick. So then, like, 'cause Shayne went on live really quick, and I'm not accusing anyone of anything, because he has very specifically said he does not use any type of drugs or abuse of anything. I think he's just a very erratic, like Gary Busey, the one with the teeth? He's like just erratic behavior. His personality, I think it also very anxiety driven. And people were just like flooding him with just like, what are you on? People worried about him. And so this is the Instagram post he shared the following day. What a wild, the 2 days. What a wild last 2 days. I asked for a ticket to the reunion, and the response I got was, thanks for your interest. To most, thank you again for the messages. But for others, every time I go on IG Live, that's who I am. I do it to try and get more comfortable and grow. Saying go to rehab or I'm worried about you every time doesn't help. It makes me horribly uncomfortable looking at the questions and the views with my ADHD. It was a lot. Be better. When you get more than 200 followers, let alone viewers on your live, then let's talk. I'm doing just fine, like I said, but it gets frustrating hard. It kind of pulled at my heartstrings. Like, he says he's fine. I guess ADHD is also, I'm assuming that it's kind of the severe ADHD, like anxiety ridden, like, and that people just don't understand it. And that's
so
why they automatically
his mind goes in a bunch of different directions, and it kind of just comes out that way. So it's very.
So I'm not Shayne's biggest fan, but let's just like be nice and not come up with like assumptions, you know?
Yeah.
In other words, Bartiz sucks. That's just straight up, he sucks. Shayne, like, I feel like he's got a good heart.
Oh, 100%. I've always thought that, really. And I also think because when we were all waiting to figure out what in the heck was going on with the reunion, Shayne was the first one to go live. So I think there was like probably a huge number of people that hopped on that at once, and he probably was like, "What the crap just happened?" Because he ended it really fast. I think it scared him.
Yeah, I actually have a video still of it. We are like, oh, he's on. Like, we're thinking more information. The reunion's not on, and then he immediately just got scared into like, never mind. Which I mean, like, it takes a lot of guts to go on live. I'm terrified of it. That's why you don't really. I've done it a handful of times. Like, I don't know what to do. And it makes you self conscious. What if people are mean to me? I don't know.
And
It's a
people
scary
are mean to
thing.
him for sure, so that
Yeah,
would be even more scary.
for sure.
Annoyed that that happened, but then it was really cool because I think maybe we were one of the not few, there was probably a bunch, but, like, people that actually got it streaming, and we streamed it live on TikTok, and people were loving it, so that was good.
Yeah, that was fun. We got a handful of followers from TikTok. If you don't already follow us at Stop Wearing My Clothes Pod, IG's popping off too. My annoyed is Vanessa Lachey. It
Yeah.
could have been like the Lachey's in general, but I think Nick's kind of funny. And if you actually don't pay attention to anything else and you watch, there was this TikTok video and they just showed Nick's face every single time Vanessa said anything. And he's there. He's just like, he just rolls his eyes and he's just like, it's actually the funniest thing ever. So I don't blame Nick. He's just there. But Vanessa was so biased. You should not be asking women in 2023 when they're going to get pregnant. Like once, okay. 10th time wasn't cute. Like what if one of those women can't have children or are going through a really tough fertility problems? Like, do better. What else? Specifically,
Also, her conversation with Jackie and Josh compared to Marshall, that was, like, bad. Why is no, just no. No, no, no.
and I feel like
I
she
hated that.
gave the Jackie and Josh treatment also to Micah, in my opinion, at the reunion. I don't understand why Micah really, she skated through that, and they were just like, Irina, pow, pow, Paul, pow, pow, Micah. That's what it was like.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was absolutely atrocious. And one of my least favorite lines of the entire reunion is when she was talking to Marshall and she was like, have you thought of your fiance's feelings about like them not being off on there after he was just expressing himself of like, I've been slighted not once, but twice. First with Jackie leaving me for Josh, not even getting to the aisle, finishing this experiment I started. And now I don't even get to have the reckoning or closure I need on the reunion. And you treat them, they're Prince Charming and a queen. And you treat me like I'm some fly on the wall that
Yeah,
eats
like
garbage. It's annoying.
yeah, it's dumb.
What is your happy?
My happy is Bliss and Zack. I absolutely loved it when Irina was kind of giving her little spiel. And Bliss completely stood up for Zack and was just like, this is the kindest human being, and the way you treated him was trash. Like, there's no excuse for that. Trash. Like, yes, go girl. Like, stand up for your man. You don't see that all the time, and I really appreciated it.
I love Bliss and Zack, and I believe in them. They're going to be one that lasts. I really think so. I guess my happy then would be just like Brett and Tiffany all encompassing. I don't think we've had, even though as much as I love Zack and Bliss, like there was some bumpy parts. It's, I guess, less traditional than, I mean, not traditional at all, but then like past Love is Blind couples and the way that they somehow found each other. That's never happened in the history of Love is Blind, kind of switching after the fact. But Brett and Tiffany are just so wholesome and good. And like he just posted today a picture of portraits of both of them saying the Browns. And like their wedding. And afterwards when she tries to get them to the bridal suite, 2 thumbs up. I think they're just adorable. And there's no complaints whatsoever.
I agree completely. They are like the cutest thing. Them and you said this before. Them and
The Hamiltons.
The Hamiltons and the Browns are just high on the
They're top
pyramid
tier.
of Love is Blind. Yeah.
I think Brennan and Alexis would have been there without like the Brennan past scandal. But he's now Alexa, thank you. But now there's second tier. They're with Bliss
So
and
are
Zack.
they with Zack and yeah, I agree with that.
I think Kwame and Chelsea are in the same category where all the other people are already divorced, like Ayana and Jared and Danielle and Nick. I'm sorry. I don't understand it. The reunion didn't help me in that scenario whatsoever. So we're doing, like I said, we're doing this a little bit different. We're just going to do Happy Annoyed, and then we're going to go right into the segment and go into the recap of the finale and reunion, as well as just kind of the news with those couples since the reunion, because actually a lot's happened. So let's get into it. All right. Should we just go down the line?
Yeah. Let's start with Kwame and Chelsea because you were just talking about them, and I have a little bit of a different view than you do.
Okay. Hit me.
I'm going to go about the reunion that people were talking from an honest place for the most part. So, Kwame, what he actually said, I think was very good about like really apologizing publicly to Chelsea because that's embarrassing. Like if I was Chelsea, I would be embarrassed to watch that back, especially still being together. And I mean, I would really have liked to know more of how Chelsea felt during all that. Did they fight? I would have probably broken up temporarily or something because that was like rough to watch.
Yeah, it wasn't a little thing.
And they only really talked about the fact that Micah and Kwame talked at the pool, but they also had that second at Chelsea's freaking birthday where again, they were basically leaving the door open. I'm assuming maybe she has been talked out of being too upset about maybe the editing because I know Kwame did make a point of like, you guys only saw the storyline they wanted you to see. So I do see that, but the words that came out of their mouths,
and the laughing and the looks and the body language, none of that adds up. I agree that like the Lachey should have gone in more on the watching back process because I mean, if it was all roses and whatever during the filming, like we know it wasn't while they're watching it back. Like,
yeah, there's no way Chelsea was okay with that, especially with how she felt without even knowing the conversation that they had at the pool.
And I just don't understand how I could have read Kwame so wrong when it was just so clear. I don't know. I just still don't understand it, so it's hard for me to root for them. I mean, obviously, if they're happy, I want them to be happy, but it's not going to be like on like my top favorite couples. They're kind of like Matt and Colleen for me. Who they're still together.
That is
or even like Barnett and Amber. Those are like the ones that are all still together, but like I guess the audience doesn't connect with them.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. That is a great comparison. I didn't even think about those because I want them to be happy together, but I just don't fully believe it. And I agree with that. Also, I felt like it was good that Chelsea has met his mom and it's all gravy. Maybe the way that was all edited was odd too. I don't know. The whole thing confuses
me. It's just
me.
weird. I just like, it's interesting why editing made those choices when it's supposed to be like a love story. Like you don't see them doing that with Brent and Tiffany, you know? So, I mean, maybe it's not fair, but I will say, I guess one good thing and one bad thing with Kwame. I've been really hard on Kwame this season. Yeah. I know. Just look at our social. No, I have 3 things. 2 bad, 1 good. Which one should I do? I'm gonna end with a good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, bad is the apology was great. The reason, and like not just you, but the family, and then to Paul. Like it was like a monologue, and it was beautifully said, and I'm sure it was beautifully written when Chelsea did it. Chelsea wrote down those words, he memorized it, and that was his apology. Number 2, I don't know if you've seen this, because actually I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast, but just like how Paul had the little butt tap TikTok video with the bridesmaid, Kwame, the time where the episodes came out where they went to his Portland apartment, someone caught a Fenty lip gloss tucked in his cushion. Whose Fenty lip gloss is that? I felt slighted also by Vanessa of being like, okay, you ask about the little booty tap social media extravaganza, but what about the Fenty lip gloss? And then last, I forgot my good thing. I got riled up. Well, it's my good thing. Oh, okay. Kind of the things I was sensing throughout the season of his body language, etc. I didn't sense at the reunion.
Oh, that's good.
So I'm wondering, maybe it's a camera thing. Maybe it's just a lot of pressure in a small amount of time thing. They've had
Mhm.
some time to breathe and actually be with each other in a way that,
That is safe, not just like, are we gonna say yes? Are we gonna say no? There's out versus just
yep.
like commitment.
Let's talk about Paul and Micah, because that's the hottest tea of what's been going on after the reunion.
Yeah, I almost wish we were filming this tomorrow though, because freaking Micah's going on the Viall Files tomorrow.
Oh
Like,
my
well, she already
god, it's
has,
gonna
but it
be
comes
so
out tomorrow.
good.
Hmm.
Yeah, too bad. We're gonna film it now.
But there will be a recap video on our TikTok or an Instagram about what is said during the Viall Files. So check that out.
Okay, let's
Hmm.
talk about, because you thought they were gonna get married. I didn't, but definitely the way it all went down was surprising to me.
I don't know what I thought completely, actually.
Well, what
Like,
it's looking like now being presented, like after the reunion and such, is like I kind of believe that Micah was going to say yes, and like Micah just wants to be with him, and it just is continuing not to work out. Um, and Paul
I
is
kind of feel that way and don't though.
the wedding part is she was supposed to go first, and she was like, "No, I want you to go 1st."
Her reasoning behind that was she felt like she needed to be chosen to feel comfortable moving forward. She didn't want to feel like Paul just said yes because of guilt or not wanting to embarrass her or whatever.
Yeah, and to me, if I was Paul in that situation, I also even saw his face. It kind of like I think it rubbed him the wrong way. And if he was going to say yes, I think that moment changed it.
I agree. I think it's so hard to say. And he wouldn't say in the reunion, which I get because,
Hmm.
who knows? He doesn't know what he would have felt.
Yeah,
But I mean, in some sort of way, I feel like that was a rejection. Like, to him, like, if you're like,
sure.
"You are not willing to say yes in front of all these people, you're making me choose," like, that's kind of like,
And it's also like
that
wondering
makes
if
it seem like you're
there's,
gonna say no.
yeah, or setting him up to be the bad guy,
Yeah.
which I kind of had said before. But I'm like, Micah's growing on me, but I also like Paul. I don't have a necessarily have a team at this point in time. So let's go to the reunion now.
Mhm.
First off, Vanessa loved Micah, hated Paul, and the entire interview is tilted towards that. Let's just make that
Mhm.
very clear. This is one thing I did want to say that, how do I say it? Because everyone, like, I've also posted a lot about Marshall and Jackie, right? Which we'll get more into
Mhm.
them later. But
Mhm.
everyone's like, oh, Marshall called her a project. And so, blah, 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 just as bad as Jackie. But that's a lot of the feedback I'm getting.
Mhm.
Jackie didn't just say one thing and everyone's picking at her for it. It was several things. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
so many things afterwards and her actions continually
Mhm.
that like I don't F with her.
Yeah.
No. With Paul, I think it was another project moment, if you will say, that Marshall did when
Mhm.
after the wedding he's talking to the camera and says that he didn't want to marry her because he couldn't see her as a mom.
Mhm.
And right here you're seeing two juxtapositions. I think that's the right word. Mom of two, want to be mom your whole life. Mom of zero, have no idea what I'm doing. Definitely not top priority ever really in my life.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. To be like not chosen or to like say someone's not going to be a good mother or you can't see them as a mother, like her, it's a different level of like I don't even fully know how to describe it. It's pretty awful, right?
Yeah. Yeah, especially the fact that Micah has always wanted a family and has
Mm,
communicated that to Paul. That makes it like when I heard that, then I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, Paul. Oh, Paul." But this is another I'm not trying to excuse the behavior because no matter what, he should not have said that, period. Ever.
agreed.
No. It was number 1, it was a very high emotion situation, and he was probably just saying anything that, like, popped into his head of what he was feeling. He didn't really have a filter in that moment.
Yeah,
Also, I think he is just so logical, um, and I'm not saying
I'm married to
is
one
that
of these idiots.
yeah, he's just very, very logical. So in his head, emotion is not attached to that statement. In
Yep.
his head, I just don't see that because of what I have experienced with you, which is hurtful and rude and not. But like in his head, he's like, it's nothing about you. It's just the way I feel.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
think
like,
kind of what you're saying is what I also think of. He doesn't really know the depth of what he's saying or the repercussions
yeah.
of it. I just don't think it registered in his brain like it would to a woman or would to someone who's not so like
And
analytical.
I think that the way Vanessa continued to question and question and question, why do you think that? What did she do? What did she do?
It made it
You know,
worse.
if anything, that was just hurting Micah worse, not actually doing anything because what did he want? Did she want Paul to say, well, she doesn't clean up, so I don't think she'd clean up after her kids. Oh, well, she doesn't do this. So, like, what she was trying to force him to say was only going to make it worse.
Yeah,
So once he did his explanation, not that it was a good explanation or whatever, like it should have just stopped there. There was nothing more to come out of that besides try to just turn him more into a villain.
yeah, and he didn't take the bait. I felt like I think he did a good job. I think Zack tried to help calm him down because I'm sure Paul was frustrated because it was a completely one-sided interview, and that's like what I've said before, like how they do The Bachelor, where they put like they need maybe different setups, like where they have to sit next to each other, and it's almost like a conversation more between them than Vanessa. I
Mhm.
mean, maybe if they had a good host, it would just overall be better, but
Mhm.
more of interactions between the two people versus so
Ooh, I
host
like that.
driven.
Mhm. I agree with that 100% actually.
So yeah, she did an awful job, and Vanessa, and I think when it came to Micah's side of things, like I don't think she got enough questioning about the mean girl kind of esque thing. I think that was all
Mhm.
on Irina's shoulder. And then also
Mhm.
like barely like her just her things with her friend. Like I just felt like and any time when like something important would come up, like, oh, they dated after Love is Blind was filmed, wiped right next to it. And even when I
Yeah,
think
like
they might have said something at the end, but then like a one sentence answer.
yeah, like it just didn't work out. We went over a couple weekends, whatever, and then it just didn't work out. I'm like, that's the tea that we want to hear, you dummies. Like, what? We don't care. I mean, a short explanation of why Paul said that, sure. But Micah should have also had the opportunity to ask another question if she felt the need to, or like whatever.
Another place they ignored Micah was the TikTok gate of the slapping of the butt or whatever her face said a million words. The fact that they didn't let her speak on that to her
Hmm.
friend, like it's also like showing badly of her friend that I would not want
Hmm.
my friend to be put in that situation where all of TikTok thinks that she was having
Hmm.
a relationship with my fiance, like
Hmm.
they just dropped the ball so hard.
Yeah. Especially because that friend has come out and said since then that, like, no, 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 it was none of that. I'm Team Micah. Like, at first I thought this was funny, but now it's like, no.
When you put on the reunion, it's pretty like solid. But the
Yeah.
interesting thing is, he has liked a couple of her bikini pics and they are following each other on Instagram. I don't know. I'm personally on the fence about it.
Yeah, but do you think maybe they've talked afterwards now that this has all happened, and so now he's like, "Who cares?" And now maybe they
Maybe,
do flirt, maybe they do? I don't
maybe
know.
they're unconnected, but something to
No,
know.
it is I know, I wish that I could just be a fly on the wall of all these people and just sneak around and get
I
all the
know
tea because there's more, there's
we're
so
gonna
much more than we've seen.
we're gonna hear it like when you guys are listening to this when it comes out on Thursday. Also watch the Viall Files after. Um,
Mhm,
and so update, there is some tea there with, we got some more information about when they dated afterwards. There was a TMZ video where they caught Paul at the airport. And I was also at the airport the day after the reunion. So I assumed like all the people who were flying in from LA, like I had my eye out, but I didn't see anybody.
darn.
But all of TMZ was waiting for him. And you saw, there's so many airport videos that have come out from TMZ of just asking him a bunch of
Mhm,
stuff. But basically, Paul said that they did date, and Micah was the one who ended it very quickly.
mhm,
And basically, right after, flew to Europe with some guy. So
mhm.
that started World War III. And
Yeah, because Micah was like, "Oh, this is how you're gonna play it, Paul."
yes, on Zachary Reality's video about it. she says stuff like that. And then
Mhm.
Amber, who was the one he dumped to be with Micah, did a "fuck you, Paul" Instagram story. And then Paul eventually reposted the video and said, clarification, it was a while and we were broken up, and trying to
Mhm.
eating his back his words or whatever. So
Yeah.
that caused a bit of a flurry.
I honestly, like, as it went on, I fell more in love with them being in love, and I actually really wanted it to work out, to be honest with you. Like, towards the end, they were really cute.
Micah grew on me.
Um, totally. And, like, the way that she described the way that Paul made her feel, like, it actually makes me sad. But then I also wonder, why did she call it off? But I also could see, like, he did say no to her, so that would be kind of a hard
Yeah,
thing
it's
to,
really
like, maybe
hard.
completely go back on.
Someone who's married to someone so analytical, there are just some things that that person's not going to be able to do and say. And because I'm a Pisces, I'm the most opposite of that as that could possibly be. And so it's a learning curve because I've never really
Mhm,
been around anyone like that until I met Marcus.
mhm.
And especially in that experiment, like I'm not sure me and Marcus could have made it in that experiment just because, I mean,
You need more words and, like, gooiness.
yes, you and
Yeah.
affirmations and like all that. And like,
Mhm,
I mean, we're over 10 years now, but I mean, I get some of that stuff now and we've figured out what each other needs. But like, it wasn't
mhm.
a cakewalk and it definitely didn't happen in a month. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah,
I
totally.
definitely think that, it's not anything against Paul. He's just, people are different. And, sometimes
Mhm.
when you're so different, it's hard to make it work.
It's almost kind of how Bliss and Zack work, because I actually think they're very alike
Hmm.
in how they communicate and,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say argue, but how they interact with each other, because a couple of their interactions through the season, I was like, that doesn't seem like the other person's being validated. They're just almost kind of arguing around it, but like in a calm way. But I think that that's just how they communicate.
Yeah.
Zach being a lawyer and Bliss being so educated and super smart, I think that they're able to both have those conversations together in that way, and it comes across the right way. Um, so what did we think about Bliss and Zach? What did you give me some?
I thought the Bliss, Zack, Irina triangle. I've actually heard a lot of people saying that they didn't like the reunion. It was like a flop. I get why people are saying that. For me, it was more of just annoyance of Vanessa, but I thought there was a lot of tea. But the juiciest part was the threesome of Bliss, Irina, and Zack. I was riveted. I was at the edge of my seat or your couch. And
Mhm.
I loved it. I might have an unpopular opinion that I believe that Irina is truly apologetic. And did she want to be famous? Yes. But at the same, like you and I say this all the time about Bachelor. You don't go. It doesn't make sense to go on reality TV if you don't want fame of some sort. I
Mhm.
don't see anyone going on Love Is Blind and like not
Not seeing that as something positive to come out of the show as well.
hard, but I mean, it was like a little oh snap when Zack did that. And I think my biggest takeaway was finding out that as soon as Irina left Mexico, she texted Bliss and said, "You dodged a bullet." That was, I mean, pretty intense. And I just couldn't
Yeah.
imagine. I know there's a lot of things like I could work on as a person and everything like that. And could you imagine like seeing yourself on TV for the first time, realizing something about yourself and the entire world attacking you for it?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I'm choosing her to give her the benefit of the doubt at this moment.
I think that I didn't like her excuse of her saying, "I didn't go in to make friends," that whole
Oh
thing. I
yeah.
didn't like that because I don't care if she didn't make friends. I don't care if she had no friends, but she was going out of her way to be mean. That's
Yeah.
the difference.
Yeah.
I didn't love that. But I agree with you that after seeing yourself and being attacked by the entire world, I don't think she deserves any more hate. I don't think that she's not incapable of change. I don't think any of those things about her. Do I want to be her friend? No thanks.
I feel
But
like
that's
I've
about
seen
it.
some stuff of her. I think she's leaning in, kind of having fun with it. Like everyone was being terribly mean and calling her Beans from Even Stevens, and she literally made a
Mhm.
video about it, like with her and Beans going in and out of pictures. And like she literally got I think it was an after reunion kind of red carpet press junket thing. And they're
Mhm.
like, yeah, I just think everyone was upset that it was late just because they wanted to see me roasted. But you got what you wanted, guy. Like, I don't know. It was just like I
Yeah.
I for some reason, I think it's also because there's someone so worse on the season. And let's get into Jackie, Josh, and Marshall. Unless you have anything else to say.
One thing that we skipped over, and I just wanna know, I don't even fully remember what it was, but it was Zack saying something to Micah and Paul thing was going kind of what
He
did
was
he
trying
say,
he
'member?
was standing up for Paul.
She said, "You
Oh,
were you there?"
no.
Yeah, do you know what that
I do
is?
remember saying he said that he heard from like people that she was telling people that she was never planning on marrying Paul.
Oh, yeah. What did you think about that?
I took it with a grain of salt. I think he was trying to help his friend, but I mean, maybe her friends are tough cookies. I don't know. It seemed like she had a hard time during the season expressing her real thoughts to them. I don't know. I don't have much to say on that because it's kind of
Oh, and it was Irina who it ended up being Irina who told Zack that.
Oh, I
So,
missed that then.
it could have also been, like, only when they were in Mexico that she was feeling that way. Because I do think I saw progress with Micah and Paul's relationship where it became way more serious
So
towards the
much,
end.
so much.
So that could be the case. And then the other thing though is like they were talking about some sort of scenario though, and Micah was like, "Were you there?" And I just felt, and they were like, editing is weird, and then they just stopped talking. Do you know what I'm
I
talking about?
don't.
Oh, I felt like there was an untold something, and I'm like, "What the crap was that?" And no one asked.
Well, that's they need a professional host because so much tea was spilled on the floor and the host didn't pick it up
Scoop it up.
and brew a bigger pot of tea with it. Okay,
Oh, that's a
Jackie
good
and
one.
Josh
Okay,
interview.
stupid.
It's so
I
stupid.
actually am so
It
annoyed
was like gross
because
watching it. I'm like, Vanessa, like what?
she was like they're her BFFs, like, did not question Jackie about anything
No,
negative,
Vanessa lives in
gave
Jackie's butthole.
yeah, and gave Jackie the space to say more crap.
No, it.
I am fine with them being happy, Jackie and
Yeah,
Josh.
yeah, for sure.
Whatever. Cool for you guys, glad you're happy. It could have even ended with that, sure. But I do not like that there was nothing talked about of the crap that she's done. And then
No,
Marshall
she was
gets
not.
freaking pummeled into the
Yeah, she
ground.
was not held accountable for any of her actions. And I think, yes, what happened on the show is one thing, but like everything that she's done since has been just so awful and just mean spirited to Marshall. And I think it's really
Mhm.
interesting. Like, this is some tea that I know of. And I started watching the Viall Files with Marshall, but I hadn't finished. But what we didn't see is Josh had a love triangle with Monica and Jackie. And apparently,
Okay.
why Josh got, so remember that day he just got so mad because Jackie said something about Josh or that he was going to leave if she didn't choose him or something. And
Uh-huh.
so apparently the background to that is Marshall and Josh were like him and Brett apparently in the house. And Marshall was just pouring his heart out to Josh about Jackie, and Josh didn't tell him that he was also pursuing Jackie, and the
Oh.
fact that he was knew that Josh had told Monica the exact same thing, saying that he would have gone home if she chose somebody else, or she wasn't with him.
So Josh said that to
Both of them, and then ends up getting in. I don't know why this isn't like public knowledge because I still, even on E News, there's two couples that got engaged. Did not include Monica and Josh, but I'm 99% sure Monica and Josh got engaged. Monica even posted on her Instagram that she got engaged, and but they just like very quickly it didn't work out. But
Mhm.
they did get engaged and left the pods into the real world together. So there's some like backdrop of that kind of helps fill in a little bit of holes. Yeah, it wasn't fair. And there's two things going around of why Jackie and Josh weren't there. One is that she didn't feel safe because she was getting death threats and stuff like that. And first of all, I think I call bull on that, because if all of the people should feel safe, and I'm sure all of them have had some type of hate.
Well, if anything, Irina probably is the most hated.
They should have security.
Maybe not
they
more
should
than,
feel secure. That shouldn't even be an issue, right?
Yeah.
Number two is people are saying that production, like Love is Blind, didn't want her there because she was a loose cannon, and they were worried that she was going to say stuff about production.
I could see that.
So it's stupid. They should have been there. If anything, they should have done like a live Zoom call, so there's some interaction. Like, I think that was a bigger flop than the live reunion not happening. That just, if that happened and then they actually had a real reunion, that all, like, there was no closure to that relationship whatsoever.
And honestly, then they shouldn't have even had Marshall there, because it was almost worse.
Yeah, it was just awful. They treated Marshall like trash at the reunion, and I don't appreciate it.
And I don't understand at all. I understand. This is the confusing thing about the relationship. I think that their relationship was crap. Like, real crap. I'm sorry for Marshall that he obviously loved her and all that, but I'm very glad it didn't work out, because apparently they made some pretty nasty jokes to each other.
Yeah.
In general, I think that Jackie constantly, because I watched a little part of the
They were testing each other's
Viall Files.
boundaries, I think.
Yeah, because like she was basically calling him gay, feminine, not a man, all these things all the time. And so he was just kind of taking it, oh, that's just how she jokes. She's just joking with me.
Yeah.
And so he then made a joke about her having a manly jaw or something like that, which then got manipulated, which I don't know. It could be whatever, but got manipulated into some sort of slur, which he's like, I never even said a term.
Yeah.
I just said manly.
She's grasping at straws to try to make her look good and Marshall not. And it's just stupid. Should Marshall have said that? No, but there's it within context. It just doesn't faze me, honestly. And what?
Yeah, with the amount of stuff that she has openly said about him.
Yeah. I saw a video where he calls himself a freak in bed. It's like, okay, Marshall. Yeah.
Basically, all she did was just pummel him. Well, he said, I stayed home from work. I washed her freaking laundry. I cleaned the house. I did everything for our relationship to make everything perfect and like comfortable for her, so she had the space to like whatever. And
Marshall's one of a kind.
He's like, yeah, I washed her freaking clothes. Yeah, made her freaking pancakes with compote.
Are you sure it's compote?
It's not compote, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And he says he's very confident. He knows what he's doing in the bedroom, so I believe him.
All right, there we go.
Is that all the couples?
We didn't really talk about Brett and Tiffany, but it's more just like because there's not much to say because they're just so...
Brett and Tiffany, mwah, mwah. I love you guys. That's all I have to say.
Yep. What a season. Love is Blind.
Season 4.
We're done with it.
We have new episodes come out every Wednesday, reality TV news, and Bachelor's off season, Love is Blind is off season right now. So we decided next week we are going to take a 1-week break and we will come back with all the reality TV news. I also know the Kardashians are coming up, the new Ultimatum season, and probably more that I can't think of. So we're just going to take 1 week, but we'll be with you guys on social media covering anything that happens in between. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Stop Wearing My Clothes Pod, and on Twitter at Stop Wearing My.
Make sure to email us at stopwearingmyclothespodcast@gmail.com, as well as leave a voicemail, maybe something you want us to talk about, a show we should watch. Just let us know.
If you like to watch our podcast on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, share, hit the bell for notifications, or if you are an audio listener on Apple Podcasts or any of the other ones, please rate and review, and we will see you in 2 weeks.